Passengers thrown around like rag dolls after Aeroflot flight hit severe turbulence. At least 27 people, including babies, were hurt after an Aeroflot flight hit severe turbulence on Monday morning. Aeroflot flight Su-270 was traveling from Moscow to Bangkok and was about 40 minutes from its destination when it hit clear air turbulence. This type of turbulence occurs during clear cloudless skies and cannot be detected by radar. Under these conditions, airplanes experience severe turbulence when they move through the space between fast and slow jet streams. 3 passengers on the Aeroflot flight reportedly required surgeries to treat leg fractures and broken ribs. Some passengers said they saw babies with bruises after the incident. The company has said they will cover the medical costs of those who were injured. Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews. These videos will scare you out of ever flying again. Horrific turbulence on United flight sends 12 to the hospital. Passengers and crew members on board a transatlantic flight were all traumatized after their plane was thrown about by massive forces mid-air. United Airlines Flight 880 was flying from Houston to London with 220 people on board when they encountered a mid-air scare. The plane hit turbulence just over the Atlantic, which caused it to shake and drop violently. Passengers that had been sleeping moments earlier were now flying out of their seats. Others got cuts and bruises from being banged around the cabin. Despite being just 300 miles from London, the plane diverted to Ireland. 12 had to be brought to the hospital once the plane landed around 6 a.m. Flights in the past have had similarly horrific experiences in the sky, caused by clear air turbulence, and the same may be true for the United flight. Clear air turbulence typically occurs in the cloudless skies of the upper atmosphere. It's mostly generated when a plane moves across fast-flowing air currents called jet streams. Here, high-speed winds and slow-moving air traveling in different directions can cause sudden and violent movements to a passing aircraft. Clear air turbulence is difficult to detect, and likewise hard to avoid. So unless commercial aircraft start strapping on LiDAR technology, passengers will just have to buckle up and hang on. Turbulence on Air Canada flight injures 20. At least 20 people were injured on a flight that was reportedly hit by heavy turbulence on Wednesday, prompting the aircraft to make an unscheduled landing in Calgary. Air Canada Flight 88 en route to Toronto, Canada, carrying 332 passengers and 19 crew members, departed from Shanghai, China on Wednesday. During the flight, the aircraft encountered heavy turbulence that resulted in at least 20 passengers suffering neck and back injuries. The plane then made an unscheduled landing in Calgary, in Alberta, Canada. According to reports, 8 passengers were removed from the plane on stretchers. 2 investigators have been sent by the Transportation Safety Board of Canada to review the contents of the plane's black box and interview Air Canada employees to determine the cause of the injuries.
Airborne passenger cracks Miami-bound flight ceiling. There's turbulence. And then there's a kind of turbulence that quite literally sends passengers airborne, the latter of which being the variety experienced by those unfortunate enough to be aboard a recent American Airlines flight that saw 5 injured. Despite the fact that the seatbelt sign was on, passengers and even the pilots aboard Flight 982 had no idea what was in store for them as they made their way from Grenada to Miami Thursday morning. They were initially greeted by some slight rumbling, apparently without incident. When the turbulence came back to rear its ugly head, though, it struck one sleeping non-seatbelt wearing passenger with a vengeance. A sudden turbulence-induced plunge reportedly sent an unidentified man flying skyward so fast he smacked into the ceiling and broke one of the Airbus A319's top panels. Ouch! Luckily though, the man's cranium didn't properly puncture the aircraft, causing something like this to happen. Phew! Close call. The plane eventually made a successful landing despite the bumpy ride, which apparently came courtesy of Hurricane Joaquin.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Friz and crying aboard US-bound flight as turbulence terrifies passengers. A flight from Korea to the US was diverted to Tokyo after violent turbulence injured 5 people so badly they needed medical attention. Food everywhere, plates, glassware, and the contents of a flipped beverage cart left the cabin looking like a $2 Thai brothel on a Sunday morning. For the 240 passengers and 15 crew aboard American Airlines Flight 280, this was the most terrifying flight of their lives. Screams, sobbing and whispered prayers filled the cabin as the hand of God shook the plane like a heroin junkie shakes her baby.
I love my family. I love my family very much. Everybody, please.
The turbulence rocked the plane for nearly a full hour. One passenger reported seeing a flight attendant become airborne and smash into an exit sign above the seats.
Hit your head. Show me the bowl that hit your head. It broke.
The Boeing 777-200 took off from Seoul just after 6 p.m. on the 16th and was due to arrive at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport around 3 a.m. The pilot was forced to abort the original plan and land instead at Japan's Narita Airport. None of the injuries were life-threatening, and the passengers were transferred to another flight on Wednesday to complete their journey.